Hello. If you're watching this video, it means you were probably searching for Nintendo 64 collections, games, rarest. I know because I did for a long time before I decided to start my collection. Now there are many systems that are considered better than Nintendo 64. PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Super Nintendo comes to mind. But for me, none of them really hold as much appeal as the N64 does. And that's why over the years I built up a respectable collection. It's pretty big, not as big or diverse as some of the other ones I've seen online. But I'd like to show them, especially as a tribute for the people who showed their collections before me and inspired me to start my own. Now, like I said, this isn't a complete collection. I don't have all the boxes, not all the games are in mint condition, because I've played most of these, and all these games are the ones I love, games I've played through, and that I recommend to you guys. So, without further ado, I'd like to start with the star of the show, the Nintendo 64 itself. I better hold up the camera. Now, I've had this guy since I was maybe 12 years old, 11, I can't remember. I've kept it pretty clean, if I may say so myself, with the only change to it being these holes, well, not holes, these modifications I made. You can see the holes in the back, done so I could play Japanese cartridges, and I'll get to that later. Now, no game is complete without its controllers. I've got a couple. I've got more than 4 so I could play with my friends. More than 4 because the green one, especially in the back, wore down. You'll see that the joystick starts wearing down after a little bit of time. So let me start on the collection. Put the camera down. I'll do a couple of these today. First one being well-known 1080 Snowboard. Not my favorite of the racing or sports games, but a reputable title. And if you notice, if you have other carts, this one is pretty heavy for its size. I don't know why, it just seems to be the densest cart that I have. Put this one to the side. There we go. I got a box here of these things. Second being Aerofighters Assault. Now this is a pretty hard game. I'm not going to talk about all of them in depth, but this is a very hard game, especially to do all the unlockables. I like it, like the multiplayer. Never got my brother to enjoy it that much though. Well, this is a Japanese game. I've heard a lot about it. That's the reason I bought it. I had to shell out a lot of cash for it, to be honest. Bangai-O. I like the cover. I thought it was Gundam the first time I saw it. Shooter game. You could read a lot about it online. It's alright. I don't think it's all, as cracked up as people say it is. Not even sure that was a real expression I just said. It's alright. I do like it. Not the greatest, but definitely worth putting in your collection, at least to show off to your friends, like I'm doing right now. Now, let me start grabbing a few more of these at a time. Now, these two don't really need any introduction. Banjo-Kazooie, without a doubt, probably my favorite N64 game of all time. Banjo-Tooie, not as great, but still two fantastic games. I actually had never heard of Banjo-Kazooie before. I received a tape in my uncle's mail. He gave it to me as a VHS, and it was a promo tape of it. I have it to this day. Absolutely fantastic game. I recommend it to anybody. I mean, anybody who has an N64, and even those who don't, worth getting just for this. So moving on, we have Beetle Adventure Racing. This is one of the newer titles to my collection. It's a very good racing game. I don't think it holds up as well. It hasn't aged well, that's what I mean. Good physics, interesting tracks. I prefer some other ones better. Now, next along, Blast Corps. Not much to say about that. You can read about it online. Body Harvest. Also, it's gotten good reviews. It didn't sell that well, if I remember. I mean, I hadn't heard about this game up until a couple of years ago. It's alright. Decent one to add to your collection. Now, a pretty famous one coming up next, Conker's Bad Fur Day. I was only able to buy this after I turned 18 because, well, it's marketed for older people. Now, Conker's Bad Fur Day got a pretty bad rap because it is, well, pretty adult game. Very funny, very comical. The platforming is pretty solid, but if you want a true platforming experience, go for the Banjo-Kazooies and Mario 64s. Now, I have a very beat up old box of Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's one of the few I do have. Almost completely flattened with nothing inside, but I like the art. Helps me remember, you know, my N64 childhood days. Now next up, these twin games, which you've probably heard of on the later systems. These are the custom Robos. I have the box, where is it? I have a complete box for, I believe it's the first one, as well as the manual. Very good fighting games. They're fun. What can I say? My Japanese isn't perfect. My brother's is better than mine. Well, about 100% better because I don't speak it. But pretty intuitive. Even if you don't speak it, you could quickly pick it up and play. I confess I haven't started the story mode. It's one of the games that I haven't really played all the way through, but multiplayer is a blast. Put this to the side. And coming up next, let's see. This is the newest title I have. Densha de Go 64. It's a train game, train simulator. Very interesting. There are a couple of videos of it on YouTube. Otherwise, like most Japanese games, not that much can be found on it. Now it's part of a family of train simulators, which doesn't sound that interesting, and to be frank, it isn't the greatest game. I bought it more because of the novelty controller. So if I put this back here and show you the controller, let's see here. You have to buy this as a separate piece. Controller even includes a little spot for the pocket watch if you want to put one, pretend you're a real conductor. It's got your braking system, it's got your speed system. It's even got what's it called, the Hey You Pikachu. It's got a voice recognition module. I'm keeping this one in the bag so I don't lose that little yellow head. It's got a little voice recognition module so you could speak to the passengers. As far as I know, it doesn't really help, doesn't do much. But it's an interesting piece, interesting collector's piece. It's one your friends will ask about if you have friends that you're willing to show these games to. Well, next one is another, forgot to show you guys the box. Here's a box, pretty thick box to accommodate the voice recognition module. Now next one is also a Japanese game. Stallion. It's so text heavy that I really haven't gotten that deep into it. You raise a horse. I thought you could race it. I was wrong. A little disappointed, but you know, it's a game. It's part of the collection. I don't like to collect games for just collecting them. I like to actually play through them. So I have to say this is one of the weaker ones in my collection. Now, next one is the first game I ever bought for the N64. It's my favorite. I mean, not my favorite, that's not true, but just for the fact that it was my first. This is it's up there. This is Diddy Kong Racing. Many of you have heard of it. Great game. I like it better than Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64. Now, got a couple of more. Let's see. Donkey Kong 64. If you don't know of it, go watch a video on it. Excitebike 64. I love the physics in this game. Very realistic, fun racing, sort of frustrating. A Flying Dragon, very little known fighter. I enjoy it. You could choose between adult and childlike character models during the fighting. Childlike tend to be the favorite of everybody who's played it. Solid game, doesn't hold up as well to other fighters. Behind it, F-Zero X. I'll confess that this game also I haven't played that much of. But it is a pretty solid title. Everybody knows the F-Zero series. I just happen to like the GameCube one better. And now I'll stop for now because I'm running out of time. I'll see if I can't speed things up on the next